Anyways, good evening and welcome to Outwrite Bookstore and Coffee House. I am Kareem Doty, and before we get started, we respectfully ask you to please turn off all cell phones or turn them to vibrate. Copies of Protection are available at our cash wrap, as well as the last end cap. Gregg will be autographing his book here in the lounge at the conclusion of tonight's event. We remind you that your support of his work here at Outwrite tonight helps us continue our weekly programming and daily work in this community. Tonight we welcome Chicago journalist and pop culture writer Gregg Shapiro. Hold on. I'll need this. To Outwrite Books. Gregg's interviews and reviews appear in a variety of LGBT publications and websites. He has interviewed such LGBT personalities as Jim Barreros and Craig Chester. He has also been published in Blythe House Quarterly, Beltway, Modern Words, Bloom, and in the anthologies Sex and Chocolate, Reclaiming the Heartland, and Poetic Voices Without Borders. Gregg's first collection of poetry, Protection, has received critical acclaim from Greg Herron and David Trinidad, among others. We are pleased to be part of this debut of the stunning collection by exciting new poet. Please join me in welcoming 1999 inductee into Chicago's GLBT Hall of Fame, Gregg Shapiro.
Thank you, Kareem. Thanks for the great intro. And thanks to Outwrite Books for allowing me to do this. I think I might do the mic. There we go, okay. Explosive, okay. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna just read a selection. The book is split up into 3 sections: Chicago section, a Boston section, and a Washington D.C. section. And so I'm gonna read stuff from each of the sections. I'm gonna start with a poem from the Chicago section called "Still Talking." Watch his mouth, the way it anticipates silence. It is a mouth conversant with the history of oral sex in the men's rooms of Greyhound bus stations. The misshapen teeth, an offensive color, could tear you another ear, another ulcer. Why does he bother to shave? Nothing could possibly cover that orifice. Not sheet metal, redwood bark, wax paper, or steel wool stitching. If he's told you something once, a borrowed joke or moral, in an authoritative public speaking tone of voice, you will probably hear it again and again without the slightest embellishment or pretense of truth. The jokes aren't remotely funny, though he struggles to tell them without bursting into uncontrollable giggles, and the morals are immoral. The sloppy kisses he sends over the phone to voicemail victims are the sound of skin being pulled from a bone, one layer at a time. Rent boys line up to relieve themselves into that quivering oval. He throws his voice effortlessly when you least expect it, and the ventriloquists are so jealous they refuse to speak without moving their glossed lips. In photographs, his mouth looks like a cartoon drawing of a mouth, a courtroom artist's rendering. Even when he whispers, his north side of Chicago accent cancels appetites as far south as East Peoria. Once, a dentist tried to cut out his tongue while he was under anesthesia. Never had the dentist seen anything like it. A tongue with treads like a steel-belted radial tire. He still talks when he coughs, heaving words that sound like cough, cough, choke, cough, gag. Please don't ask me to describe what it sounds like when he eats. I only have the stomach to tell you about his speaking voice, the way it sounds when it insults and condescends, especially when he thinks he is being complimentary and cajoling, the way his voice rises to the pitch of a popular high school cheerleader squeal when he laughs. He has a chin which wasn't there the last time I looked, but I remember seeing it once, jaundiced and greasy with his saliva. Watch the corners of his mouth, the way they betray his interest in what you have to say. Notice the way they are poised for interruption, how they barely tolerate dialogue. And this is also another a poem from the Chicago section. Halsted Street is Chicago's Boys Town, which is where most of the gay bars are. And this is a poem called Wide Awake on Halsted Street. This is not a dream. This is me sitting in the backseat of a cab, 4:30 a.m., stinking from sex. The flags are flapping and my teeth are chattering, and I can still taste him on my lips and gums. I don't hail just any cab. I wait for one of those new ones that look like whales on wheels. I want to start a conversation with the cab driver, certain he's caught a whiff of me leaving something behind on his new upholstery. But I'm afraid of what my voice might sound like, shaky and whispered. So I watch his pine tree-shaped, peach-scented air freshener dangle and twirl from the rearview mirror. I contemplate the comfort factor of the wooden beaded contraption on his seat. I consider betrayal and the pleasures of lubrication. I know if I asked him what time the sun was due to rise, he would tell me. I know if I asked for advice, he would lean over the seat to comfort and console me like a bartender. I give him a big tip for a small fare and ride the elevator I got stuck in this morning and fall into bed fully dressed. The sheets will smell like me and someone else. The alarm won't wake me. The sun will rise and I will be fast asleep. This next poem, we're going to move to Washington now for this next poem, and it's in 6 very short parts. This is called Security. 1. Not one, but 2 men in the midst of a man shortage. Friends coil like snakes, backs arched, cat hiss, attack ready. I shrug my shoulders up to my ears, whistle, lucky guy. 2. Call him Mr. X, the man sleeping alone in the apartment we shared 500 miles north of here. He sends me gifts, photographs, enticements, a new set of keys, scented letters that tick like time bombs. 3. We never learn from history. I draw a 7-year timeline with crayons, fill in the blanks, wear it like armor, a bandage, a belt, fly a kite, hang curtains from it, make a tourniquet. 4. There is a man in Baltimore who believes in God. When I kiss him, his mouth tastes like flesh and blood. I confess I gave up on religion long before I stopped eating red meat. When he comes, I know I am saved. 5. 2 men to make my heart do cartwheels, my head spin like a bottle. I forget to breathe when they're not around. Hands quick as light, voices in my ear like a drug, a bug buzzing in, out, in, out, in. 6. In a crowded P Street bar, at a table full of sailors, I am finally alone. Wandering eyes tell all before I open my mouth. Words would only fail me now. Smoke rolls overhead, lazy as fog. I pull the strangers in closer, a blanket, family, like security.